Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today I think I'm just gonna ramble a little bit about LN2 pots, because I currently have this one. So, on the right side you can see my Tech9 Fat from Kingpin Cooling, which is the same old LN2 pot that I bought a long time ago. I used this thing exactly once with dry ice, and then immediately decided that I will buy a phase change unit instead. And ever since then I have still not acquired a DWR for LN2, so this thing basically doesn't do anything except make my room prettier. And this right here is another Kingpin Cooling Tech9 Icon V5, so a newer LN2 pot, that I currently have because me and ASIC, a friend of mine, we both bought things from a person on the HW bot marketplace. I bought an ePower 5 and he bought this. And, well, I was the person who initiated the contact, and we went with like sending everything to me first, and then I'm gonna send his stuff to him, because otherwise we would have to pay, like going from outside Germany, inside Germany twice, whatever. So I have the pot right now before I can send it to him. And I think I was gonna take the opportunity to just kind of like talk a bit about LN2 pots. And specifically why this one is probably a lot better than that one. Now I can't test them. I don't have LN2 and I'm not gonna buy any dry ice to test it, because a phase change is a lot more economical to run once you have it. It is a huge upfront cost, but it costs you basically nothing to run it. Whereas dry ice is cheaper to get than a phase change, but, well, you have 50 euros of dry ice and that's like 2 days worth of stuff. Anyway, yeah, so unless I get a LN2 Duo, I'm not gonna use my pot. And I don't even know if ASIC's planning to use this one with LN2. I think he's also planning to just use dry ice, and then potentially LN2 if he finds a Duo like cheap somewhere. But yeah, so these are both Tech9 pots. So these are both for graphics cards. So these are not CPU pots. And yeah, so the Tech9 Fat right here is, you know, it's an older design. It's tried and tested. I don't really know if you can see the internal structure right here. There you can see it. So that's the internal structure of the Tech9 Fat. And this is not a very great structure. So this LN2 pot is kind of known for being slow, and that means like you put LN2 or dry ice in it and it will take a long time to actually start going down in temperature, and in the same way it will, like, it has a lot of thermal mass basically. You put heat into it, it will take a time to heat up, and you put new cold stuff in it and it will take a time to cool down. Now that makes controlling the temperature fairly difficult, because your temperature might just be shooting up, and you can't really do anything about that because the dry ice you've just put in it is gonna take like 30 seconds to actually start doing anything. Which makes controlling temperature on this one kinda bad. Like, when I tried this with dry ice, it was absolutely awful. This thing took ages to respond to new dry ice pellets being put into it, and I even had like the small 3mm pellets, and I had plenty of interface fluid. Like, basically I was giving it the best time it could have, and it was still really bad. Now, of course, with some more experience, I guess I could get better, and then again, it's an LN2 pot. It is designed for LN2. Using dry ice with it is kind of just a consequence of, well, it's kind of a similar thing, but these things are made for LN2. Like, I want to try this with LN2 one day. I just need to find a Duo or just take it somewhere to someone who has LN2. But yeah, so this structure is not great. Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of surface area. Like, it's just like an LN2 pot is basically just, you know, a big solid piece of copper, and that's what makes them so heavy and expensive, because this is just actually a big solid chunk of copper, and then this right here is like machined aluminum or something. And you just take the solid piece, like you drill the contact plate into it, and then the threads, and then on the inside you put, like, in case of the Tech9 Fat, you put 2 big holes and 2 little holes into it, and that's basically all the surface area you get. Now if you compare that to the new one, the Icon V5, you're gonna see this. So that is a very different internal structure. Like not only is the piece bigger than on the Fat, like it's just straight up a bigger, I don't know if it's wider. No, they're the same width. So they're just as wide and probably also just as, you know, yeah. But the piece on the Icon V5 is, you know, longer. That's a you know, longer. And the internal structure is also different. So basically what's been done on the Icon V5 versus the Fat is they took more of that thermal mass and brought it closer to where your GPU die is, like right here. It doesn't have the mounting hardware on it currently. So yeah, like it would look like this with the mounting hardware on it. And yeah, so that is, first off, that is more surface area. That's just a lot more than having 4 holes drilled into it. And also you can see now a lot of it is like on the side where the die would be, because like the Fat, I kind of need to bring it close so it shows it. Like you have also a substantial amount of copper on this side, which is the far side. You know, there's no die there. The die is here. But like actually more than half of the mass, due to like the 45-degree bend right here, is on the far side of the pot. So that thermal mass is not really doing anything to cool your GPU, but it's still thermal mass that you have to like deal with. Whereas the Icon V5 doesn't have that. The far side is basically completely empty. There's only like the wall that makes the LN2 not spill out the side. And then basically all the thermal mass it has is on the side where the GPU is. It has this new internal structure which gives it more surface area, and then because the piece is also taller, yeah, that means it still has the same total thermal mass, even though they took more copper out of it. Because it was a bigger piece to begin with, it still has, like, in terms of weight, they are basically exactly the same. So, and because it's pure copper, like, the thermal mass is gonna be basically the same as well. But this pot is using its thermal mass a lot more efficiently than this one. So this pot is gonna be faster, it's gonna respond better to you putting new LN2 hot dryers into it, and it's also gonna respond faster to a graphics card putting heat into the pot. So you're gonna see changes in temperatures sooner on the Icon V5 than on the Fat, which will make this a lot more controllable. And that's basically the thing. Like that's what you want from an LN2 pot. You want something that you can keep a steady temperature with using liquid nitrogen or dry ice. And that's basically what the Icon V5 is. It's a more refined version of the Fat. And yeah, like this is just straight up better. I can't really find a way in which this would be worse. And I think if you compare that, yeah, that is a bigger contact plate. Because like you see this imprint is, I think, from a GK110. So it is a rather big GPU, but not the biggest one. Like, I think this will just about fit a TU102, so a 2080 Ti die. That might just about fit, but only because the 2080 Ti die is like, you know, a rectangle like this. If it was a rectangle that's like this way, that would probably not fit anymore. And where do you have a rectangle that's this way? Well, on the 30 and 40 series, which is why this piece, I think it actually has an imprint from like a GA something on it. I think this was actually mounted to like a 30 series GA102 card. Like, you can't really see it on camera, but it has a slight imprint of it, of an NVIDIA GPU that's like roughly 30 series shaped, and I think I can see a GA imprint there. But yeah, so the contact plate on this is bigger as well. So it will, you know, it will fit the new Ampere and Ada GPUs as well. Whereas on this one, well, this one, I straight up don't have mounting hardware that's compatible for this one. But if I had, yeah, this contact plate might not be, you know, just big enough. Judging by the imprint, it will probably fit, but like it will be kind of close. It will not leave a lot of wiggle room. So if we ever get a GPU from NVIDIA that's like even taller, then you're SOL. So yeah, so again, the Icon V5 is just like an upgraded version of the FAT. And yeah, like that's just kind of that's just kind of everything I can think of. Like, I wish I could add more to this, but I've never done LN2, and I've done dry ice once, and that's all the experience I got. The only thing I can say is it is surprisingly easy to get good mounts with at least this mounting hardware. Now the Icon V5's mounting hardware is basically the exact same, and it does have the 8-pound mounting hardware, but I only use 4 points, and yeah, you can see from the imprint that's like pretty good. Like, it's not a perfect mount, but it's pretty good. Like, if you compare that to like what you get on a water cooler like this, like that's also decent. But the water cooler has like springs on it and everything. This is only the nuts, and you put that down on the PCB. Also, this is much easier to attach than, well, the water block's probably just as easy, but like attaching the phase change is pretty hard sometimes, because you it's not an LN2 port. You have the evaporator, and then there's the entire phase change part that's hanging off of it. You can't detach that. So yeah, and also because my phase change unit is technically meant for CPUs and not GPUs. Like, usually if you have a phase change that's meant for a GPU, you have your contact plate like that, and then the phase change cables go up like it does here on the port. But on my unit, they go out like that. Because it's meant for CPUs, it's meant to like go down on a board and not like on the side like a GPU. So yeah, like mounting my phase change is kind of hard. This is gonna be easier because you just put the pot down like this, and then you put your card on top, and then like, do I have a card that's compatible? I have part of a card that's compatible. So this is what remains of one of the GTX 480s that I turned into an e-power, and like the way you would mount this is just take all the things off. Now you would just take your card, put that down, press a bit down a little bit in the middle, and then you just take your nuts, put them down, and then just like start tightening them. Because there's no springs here, there's not that much. You can't really turn them that much before they become really tight. So yeah, now it's attached. You know, like now I can hold the pot by holding the GPU. So like this is on there, and yeah, so that's like what the attachment looks like. Let's see what the mount quality is like. It still has the IHS on it, so it's not, you know, it's a much bigger contact area than pretty much everything. But let's see how the pressure was. You can still, like, there's no screws on there. You can, yeah, I mean, yeah. So you can see, like, it doesn't cover the entire IHS. Which is kind of what I'm talking about, because the contact plate on this is actually not all that big. Actually, I think that one's also not covering the entire IHS, but like the IHS is massive on the 480. Like, this is a lot bigger than all the bare silicon GPUs you're gonna get, at least the non-HBM ones. But yeah, like just putting your card down on your LN2 port like that is fairly easy. I think this is actually the easiest, because like on a water block you have the tubes hanging off of it, and then on the phase change, well, you also have tubes hanging off of it, but those are copper tubes, so like very, very hard to bend tubes, which are permanently attached to your phase change, whereas a block can have quick disconnects like these. But yeah, so there. Yeah, I guess that's just my short ramblings about LN2 pots. While I have it, I just kind of wanted to make a video about it. So, there you go. And yeah, so this is probably gonna go back on my shelf. until I find a way to do LN2 one day. And this one's getting packaged up and hopefully this week sent to ASIC, and he can, you know, do dry ice with it. There have been talks about potentially expanding the duration of the 260 OST challenge. Like, I've been asked by several people to do that. So it looks like I'm gonna, you know, ask Leak from HWBot to actually do that. Because like more people than I thought had requested it. So we might extend the 260 challenge by a month. And I wouldn't be surprised if this thing will end up being used for that competition. So yeah, so I should really send it to him so he can actually, you know, use it. Whatever. That's it for the video. And yeah, like, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye.